Welcome back to another episode of Hubler Automotive Group Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Reese Biley, and today I am joined, it's kind of been a weird shuffle of my co-host. Today it's Chase Stanger again. Chase, how you doing?
Pretty good. What about you?
Oh, I'm great, living the day. And then today we are joined with both the boys and girls track coach, Coach Lane. How you doing today?
Doing well.
Yep, thank you for coming on. So kind of to start us off, you guys had the conference meet last night, and the boys finished fifth and the girls finished third?
Correct.
And then just kind of give me a quick rundown of how that went last night.
Well, we were seeded to come in fifth and third for both teams, so we were really pretty happy to hold those spots. The girls had multiple conference champion with Brooke Kaufman. She won the 100 hurdles and then came back and won the 300 hurdles. Then she also was runner-up in the high jump, and then Lauren Clem in the 2 mile was also like conference runner-up. So, and then we had a couple other people that just really like flew off the charts. Like we had like hopes that some good things would happen, and we ended up scoring about 30 more points than we were supposed to on the girls' side. So we were pretty pleased with that. On the boys' side, again, we didn't have any individual conference champions, but Greg Houston in the 300 hurdles was runner-up. Colin Webb missed winning by 1/2 inch in the long jump. And then we had, like the girls, had a lot of really solid performances where people had personal bests and season bests. And so like we left there feeling like we did what we needed to do and got the results that we got.
Talking about last night, like we talked about earlier, the weather was it was pretty bad. It was a little iffy. It started to rain a couple times. I mean, the wind was blowing, and that just that just kind of happens at a lot of the meets, and you don't really know how to prepare for that. So how do you guys adjust to like what the weather's going to be like? Because obviously you're going to run faster when it's no wind, but how do you guys just adjust to that?
It's one of those things, and this year has been kind of weird, where even in the winter when we were just starting practices, it was hard to get into like a routine because it would be nice for a day or two, and then we'd get snow, and then it'd be nice for a day, and then we'd have a huge downpour.
Indiana weather.
Exactly. And so, but going through that, I think kind of gets you ready for what the Indiana spring can be. Again, we go to some of our early meets, and we're all bundled up in super warm clothes, just trying not to like shiver to death. When we were at Southport, we ran the mile while it was sleeting, and with the wind, and so. Usually by this point in the season, it doesn't faze us too much. I mean, like everybody's been through it, and last night was one of those, like I didn't hear a whole lot of people really like complaining about the conditions. I mean, everybody knows they're there, but I felt like mentally we were in the right state of mind and didn't really let it bother us too much. And actually, like we were saying, I was a little even surprised with the wind, how many season bests we did have, just because like people really had good nights despite that.
Yeah. Before we were on the show, we were talking about how on the boys' side you guys have 12 seniors, and on the girls' side you guys are a little bit younger and only have 7 seniors. Tell me about kind of the mix of on the boys' side you guys have 12 seniors, and on the girls' side you have 7, obviously. How do you guys like mix it out to try and find the perfect balance of a young team that is still going to come up and a team that is going to compete now and win?
Yeah, well, like any other team, like we rely on our seniors to kind of set the tone for, like, you've been here for 3 years now. Teach the younger people how to do things. How do we do things? Again, I always feel like if a team is 100% led by the coach's instructions, then things probably aren't the way they need to be, because coaches set the expectations, and then you rely on those leaders to really step up and do what's right, so everybody else see, that this is how we do things. Our guys sprint group has been awesome this year, like, because that's where most of our seniors are at on the guys side, or in the sprint group. Again, they went through a coaching change with Coach Hall retiring, a lot of turnover on the coaching staff, and they really bought in this winter and did the work that we needed to do, and they're running some really fast times. Like they're seeing some of that hard work pay off, and then you hope that the younger guys are kind of like watching that and seeing how they're doing things, because next year when those 12 are gone, like it's up to you. Like now, like show us, like we're going to hold you to those same expectations and show us what you learned from that. On the girls' side, kind of the same thing. Like we've had this group. This is my 5th year as the girls' head coach, and I feel like we've got a pretty good foundation for what we want to do. Again, Coach Simmons is our girls' sprint coach, and I've ton of faith in her since we started working together 5 years ago. So like we can like a lot of times say things to each other without saying things to each other, and we're getting there on the guys' side. But the girls, like, things just work really well, like with the system that we've put in place over the year, to where like even a year where we don't have an overwhelming amount of seniors, like the thing still goes smoothly, and we get people where they need to be. So yeah, it's a weird mix having one team that's so heavy on the seniors and one that's a little bit lighter, but like we feel like we've put a lot of systems in place to make everything run smooth.
For a sport that necessarily doesn't have very much contact, whereas like football and all that, there's still, I mean, you can get injured pretty easily doing that. And I know there's been a couple injuries this year. So how hard is it to, adjust by like bringing people up, or just how hard is it to adjust on like bringing people up and having like switch the rotation and get different runners in and get the mix different?
Yeah, something we try to do with our schedule is, because a lot of times we'll have 2 meets in a week, and like this week we have 3. We have 2 varsity and a JV meet this week. And early in the season, you just try to mix people around. Like we very rarely will you do the exact same thing one meet and come back and do the exact same thing the next meet, because we want to throw some curveballs at them and say, like, what happens if so-and-so's not here? Like, well, you might have to step up and be this position. Even with our relays this year, we've moved a lot of the orders around, where one meet, like, we'll throw Greg's name out there. Greg might be anchor one meet, and then, okay, like, you're going to run second tonight, just to kind of, well, what happens if we have to run you second sometime?
Yeah.
And we actually had that happen last night. Like, we were missing a guy that got sick. Like, didn't have him. Like, when we were counting on him for points, he wasn't there. Like, can't do anything about it now. You just got the next person has to step up and be ready to go. And then we have like a great training staff that we have a lot of faith with. Marcus and Casey do a good job of keeping us in the loop and getting people back in a safe and healthy manner. And then hopefully when they're cleared, they can jump right back in where they were when they left off.
Yeah.
About the transition, first of all, congrats on the getting the boys and girls head coaching job. The transition from coaching girls, like you said, for 5 years to now, this is your first season coaching both. Tell me what the transition has been like.
It's been surprisingly good. Like with Coach Hall being here for 30 whatever years it was, like a really long time. Like there was going to be some changes. We didn't come in and say everything Coach Hall's been doing for the last 35 years is terrible, because like, I mean, his results speak for himself. All the championships he won, all the all-conference guys, all the state guys. We didn't have to like throw everything away and then restart rebuilding. So really, it's been more of looking at what they did, talking with the guys, like what did you like, and then putting our own spin on how we wanted things to happen. So taking a good culture that was already here, taking a winning culture that was already here, and then just trying to like start putting our own stamp on it. And it's going to take time, especially like I said, like this year we graduate 12. Next year is going to look a whole lot different than this year looks. So we're going through coaching transition this year. Next year we're going to go through like a youth movement coming through our team, and just continuing to set the tone and set the precedent for what we want the culture to be like, that in a couple years hopefully we're back competing for county champions, conference champions, and sectional champions. That's kind of the long-term goal.
Taking a question out of Reese's book, so typically he asks, like, for football, it was like, what was the nicest football stadium you ever played at, or baseball, what's the nicest baseball stadium you ever played at? So for you, where would you say the nicest track you've ever, this could be college, high school, any of that, just throughout your career, what would you say is the nicest track you've ever been to?
That I've ever been to? Well, this summer I'm actually going out to the University of Oregon, and I've been there once before and seen it, but this coming summer the World Championships are there. And we're gonna take the family out and gonna watch a day of the World Championships. So I'm pretty excited about that. Going out to Hayward Field in Eugene. As far as like coaching wise, like there's nothing better anywhere around here than IU Bloomington, which is where our state meet is. And obviously we've been fortunate enough to take some people down there, and been fortunate enough to have some people on the medal stand, and that's just a really awesome setting. Track and field in Indiana is probably like a lot bigger than a lot of people realize, and when you go down to that track and there's thousands of people in the stand, and it's kind of down in a little bowl, so like the sound, like just echo, like it's a really cool experience. And when you go there and you have someone that does awesome, like it's one of those things you don't forget it.
Yeah.
And so I'm fortunate to have it like just an hour away from us, and like I said, it's second to none. When I was in high school, our state meet was at IUPUI downtown Indianapolis, and that was another cool setting just because you have the Indianapolis skyline in the background, and your like victory fields right there, all those sort of things that are all right there together. So that was, we had the mid-state conference there a couple times early in my coaching career, and that's another one. It's just unique. You don't see a lot of it. That's kind of the city setting, but you still got high school track meet going on right in the middle of it. So both of those two locally are probably the best I've been to.
Yeah, well, hopefully you guys get to see that again this year.
That is the hope.
Kind of backfiring on just what Chase said on how hopefully you guys can get there. As a little bit of a sectional preview, you guys have there's only a single life for track, so it's a big sectional, and that's coming up pretty soon. Tell me how you guys are just trying to prepare for that.
Yeah, well, again, last night is kind of when we start to say, okay, like you kind of know where you are by the time you get to the conference meet, and you can start to look around at other schools and go, here's where I think things are going to start to shake out. Again, we have a pretty tough sectional. I mean, you got all the Johnson County schools with Center Grove and Whiteland both being pretty strong right now. You throw in the Columbus schools. Columbus North is always one of the top programs in the state. And so we feel like if we can get to the sectional and be competitive with those teams, you've got a fighting chance when you get to the regional to eventually make it to the state meet. So again, like we start to look at, around this time we want to see, I call it seeing the signs that good things are starting to happen. And when you have a meet like we had last night with the conditions that we were talking about earlier, where people are performing the way we performed, like we feel pretty good that we'll have a couple people that have a shot. Like again, our regionals feed into the regionals with Franklin Central, Warren Central, some of the east side Indianapolis schools, and so it's tough, it's difficult, but we always feel like if we can make it out of our sectional, we have a really good chance of being competitive at the regional, and that's all you can ask for, because get beyond the track, be in the ring, whatever it might be, with a chance to go to the state meet, like that's all you can ask for. And then you just got to show up and compete.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you joining us today. Good luck to you guys in the rest of your season, and obviously sectionals, and hopefully your guys is running for state. Jason, it was great having you back on here, and that was another episode of Hubler Automotive Group Coach's Corner.
Hubler is proud to be the official sponsor of Franklin Athletics. Score massive savings on all your favorite brands. Plus, get our 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty included. For all auto needs, just click drivehubler.com. Let's go Grizzly Cubs!